Welcome everyone to the 2015 Club Marine Southern 80. Thank you very much for everyone coming along. Hope everyone has a great time over the weekend. I think we've sort of got the 50th year this year of the 80. Down at the finish line we'll have a Hall of Fame, so we're going to have heaps of old boats down there. So if you come on down, you'll see lots of old boats that are competed over many years. Hopefully we'll have some old ski gear and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure there'll be some originally outright winners there, mingling around people, having a chat, so it'll be worthwhile coming down and having a look. I'm Steve Robson, President at the moment of the Water Sports Club. Here today we've got Jeff Connell, Kenny Oliver, Neil Donald, Pete Glanville.
Yeah, I was president from 1984, 85 and 87. Characters that were in, that I remember, they're sort of not actually ski races, but one of the characters that was introduced in the early parts would be Chaz Hall out there putting the tractors in, using the tractors out there at the start line. Unfortunately for him, I was involved in getting him involved, but he's definitely a character on his own, and to this day he's put in a lot for the club. And there's another one back in the era time would be Billy Vickers, another one that was in the club in the early years, and yeah, another character on their own actually.
Kenny?
Thanks, Steve. I was president from 88, 89, I had 2 years as president, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The characters of my era was no doubt Lenny and Anthony Jones. They were the two characters one day that I got to say we had a little bit of fun with them on race day. We tried to penalise Lenny for Jonesy doing that famous brown eye, but Lenny had such support. We had a lot of problems getting that done with him, but certainly one of the characters of the race and still of the sport, and just a great bloke. The other characters that I could mention also must be Mick Sikanovic. Mick was hell-bent on bringing the biggest blown motor that he could possibly.
Might shoot across that boat.
Yeah, thanks to Mick. He was marvellous. He always helped out at briefing for the Baker's Blitz, came up with some smart aleck remark, got everybody laughing, broke the tension. So he was one of the characters in my time.
Neil can have a few words.
Thanks, Steve. I was president for 5 years, 01 to 05. In my second year, that's when shit hit the fan, excuse the French, but we had the insurance issues, so I copped all that. But we dealt with it. I suppose I was, well, the committee was responsible, but I was the one that had to ring Mark Crockford and tell him we weren't going to have a race. Fortunately, Club Marine got us out of it and were able to give us a policy to run that race, along with Mildura. They were the only 2 races that ran that year. So we were very lucky. And of course the town raised the funds to run that event. A character from the area have to be Coleman Quinn, no doubt. The chief, what a crazy fellow. Tried desperately to win the Southern 80.
Been a character in your time?
Well, character, I'm sure it's been said before, but there's one main character that just keeps popping up, and of course that's Len Rattelli. He's ever colourful.
Graham Ritchie changed the sport too with God's gift.
Correct.
And I think we were talking about Mick Sikanovic and Zelko and all those guys that had the massive blown motors. And I always remember when Graham turned up with God's gift and this radical motor that everyone just, no one could believe it. But when you look back now, he definitely changed the sport now because it's all twin turbo and there's very little blown motors, and you see with Mercury now with what they've brought in, and it's just amazing now too, the reliability that we've now got. And I think that's what's helped our race also, is the fact that there's more and more boats getting home now, and I think we can look back at what he did there to change that.
You say that when the gift came out, it was such an awesome machine, and probably had 15 mile an hour in most other boats. Like the Action and Island Coolers were around 900 horsepower, and then Graham brought that thing out. It was phenomenal. you look at it now, and in his times are probably slow compared to what's out there now. Like just taking that, probably the last 7 or 8 years, especially with blokes like Mark Cranny with the Hellrose and Hellbent boats, and Noel Griffin with Blazon and the Merc Forces and the 1350 packages. It's a whole new ballgame now.
Same mechanic though too, that's the other thing to look at. Stewie Thomas, he was the mechanic for God's gift that had this radical motor, and here he is still going all that way through, and he's now produced all this horsepower now for Mark Cranny, and he's put a minute 40, minute 50 on those times in 10 years. So hats off to Stewie too.
I suppose in my time there was was the first of the fatalities that was in the Southern 80, which he'd owned very deeply, and unfortunately there's been more since. When an unfortunate accident of Ashley French, which brings it all home to us all that no matter what age you are or when you've competed, that it's definitely, there's a risk out there. And
He got Baker Splits going, named after Ronnie Baker, of course, and it's now turned out to be as big a day as what the Southern 80 is or has been. So I think that part of it's good.
One of the features that lasted the test of time is we started the tendering of the merchandising to Savage and to Mark Savage, and that started back in 1992, and we've still got it.
When I became president in 2009, I actually invented the President's Dash. We used to only just have the Blitz on the Saturday afternoon, and I actually used to get phone calls of people complaining that why isn't their boats going by? And one year in particular where we had 7 boats in a row not finished, which equated to 14 minutes of silence. Something had to be done. So I invited a few boats out of other classes, women's, under 19s, a couple of twin rigs, things like that. Initially people didn't want to do it. Within 4 or 5 years they were knocking the doors down trying to get in. That's now not an invitation, as most people realise. It's part of the seeding process for the top 30 boats. But it was something that we brought into basically as a crowd puller, a crowd pleaser. And I think it's worked. It's gone on to something different now, but it certainly was good at the time.
I've only been in the club for probably 8 years, but president for the last couple. What have I seen go past in the last few years? Seen many things happen. We've had Black Saturday. We had the race stopped. Obviously, under Al's control there, McDonald. Involved at that as vice president and called into the room, and what are we going to do? The ambulances told us that they were leaving the scene, and obviously we can't run a race without them. So I remember Colin Quinn actually being in there at the time as well, and joint decision we had to red flag the race, which was pretty sad, I thought, as we look back at it now. But look, we've had a few other incidents over the years, but we've always been dealt some pretty heavy things, but as Neil says, we tend to work our way around.
Things that I think that we were pretty involved with was getting on board Club Marine.
Yep.
I think that was during one of my presidency times, and they're still a major sponsor today.
A very good sponsor for us, of course.
And they've been one thing that I could say, I could hang my hat on in saying that, because as you know, you're only a figurehead. It's the people behind you that are the ones that are the great help, really. They don't. I honestly don't believe that the committee gets the accolades that they deserve. In my time, I was supported greatly by both Loretta Scott and Helen Britnell. They were sensational, and they were the secretaries basically when I was there. And without those ladies, they made me, if I was to look at them.
Have a windy day again, and the whole thing might get up again. Look out. There's always a wild card out there, so it's all about team coming together on the day. And
there is a lot of teams sneaking up there. They're like, as I said, like the Merc Force, Superman, the 1-3 classics this year. He doesn't know the course like Mark Cranny, but
Superman's probably the most improved boat in Australia at the moment.
Yeah,
he's the one that's really starting to dominate and push Mark Cranny. But
he's got a good under 19s coming on. It's a hard one, that one.
Yeah, that one's a hard one.
And we'll just, I think we'll sample one of our great sponsors packages here, Carlton Dry, one of the hero brand of the 80 this year. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Carlton
Yes,
Dry.
that's right, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.